I got raped during that season, and then the boyfriend, I was with my then boyfriend at the time, and so after that I really had a hard time connecting, and on top of that I felt like what I wanted out of life was not gonna come, and so that is something I had to tell him from the get-go.
That we may not have children.
That, by the way, I need you to know I have this history, and I have been told by doctors that I will not be able to have a child.
And for me, it was just a door to begin to pull out every gold within this woman, to bring it out.
This guy, now you have brought fiction here. the viewer is wondering, this must be fiction.
This guy.
you must have trained for a month to bring this fiction. Welcome to Let's Talk Love. This is a channel we've started to examine some of the issues that affect relationships, marriages, families, nations. Within the country, we need love because we believe with love, what appears to be very difficult proves to be very, very surmountable. With the love between nations, the world will be a better place. With the love between races and people of different religious persuasions, the world will be a much better place. But in the main, Let's Talk Love is a channel we've started to isolate some of the challenges that bring down families. Today, we are privileged to have a young couple, and we want to hear their story. I'm sure there are many more of you outside there with stories you want to share. We welcome you to come to Let's Talk Love. Look out for us. The numbers are down the screen. Come and share your story. And like we've said before, that one sharing, that one story could save a couple from separation. Thank you very much. Good. Let's get to know you together with my viewers. Let's start with the lady. They say ladies first.
Ladies first.
Yes.
My name is Vivian Bwana. I am business owner.
Yes.
I'm also a pastor,
Okay.
and I'm also a mentor.
Mentor.
Yeah.
Pastor.
Yes.
Business owner.
Yes.
Mentor.
Yes.
That is quite a plateful. How do you manage? You are too young to have such.
And on top of that, a creative. I've found a way to make all these things work together.
Yes.
So it really helps me when I put my things together and I know how I can be able to maneuver which and which at what time.
But how does a pastor do business? A pastor is not supposed to do business.
So we are in the creative industry.
Okay.
We actually have a company called Code Group Company. We are co-founders with my husband with Code Group Company. We do marketing and branding.
Marketing and branding.
Yes.
Are you going to market us today and brand us?
Yes, definitely.
Yes. Thank you.
My name is Anthony Bwana Amimo.
Amimo.
Yeah.
Husband to this beautiful woman.
Yes. You are
We're
lucky
a young
man.
couple. as
You are a
say.
young man. You are a lucky man. Yes.
I'm a creative
Okay.
in profession.
Yes.
By profession, I do graphics. I'm running a company with her.
Yes.
She's mentioned Code Group, QOD.
Yes.
Yeah, from the background history of having 10 years in that field. So
Okay, 10 years.
I felt like it's an easy way to just use that towards helping everyone.
You are doing it with your wife?
Yes.
People say men is not do business with their wives. You leave it, tell us.
Yeah, so when two people come together, there's
Yes.
so many things that begin to combine, that begin to merge.
Yes.
Marriage is not just marrying the woman who helps me in the kitchen, doing a number of things in the kitchen.
Yes.
There is power that she has. There are certain things that she has that I don't have. So it's getting these two powers, energy together to actually.
So are you saying for you it works?
It works.
It only works for one couple I know, Lulu Hassan and Rashid.
That's a good example.
Yeah, Citizen TV.
Yeah.
Those are the ones I believe can work together.
So here's another story.
It's another story.
Yeah.
Now to the big
And
story.
I'm a pastor.
Yeah.
You are a pastor again.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. You too are a
Yeah,
pastor.
senior leader.
Yeah.
Huh.
Ministry, yes.
This is wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, my technical fellow told me you have a story to tell.
All right.
We have invited people, like you have heard me say in the introduction.
Yeah.
This is a platform. Yeah, you know, it's a platform for people to share their stories,
Yeah.
inspirational stories, challenges, experiences they have. You know, you may not have an experience yourself,
Yeah.
but you come across a couple with challenges. You may just want to relay the story, or you may want to share with the viewers the hand you extended to them. Basically, a platform for us to bring out our stories
All right.
in the interest of those who are viewing.
Yeah.
And so that we sometimes, from my experience as an old man, I know that many people go down because they die with their problems. They don't want to share with people.
Yeah.
And so when you hear people sharing, sometimes then it's easier for you to manage your problem.
Yeah.
So let's begin to hear the story. Where do we start?
Oh, we can start with how we met.
Yes.
We met in 2014.
2014.
At that time, we just developed a friendship.
Okay.
And we became quite good friends after that.
Yes.
His intentions were very clear with what he wanted. He didn't mince his words. He was very direct. I want you to be my wife.
He was poor at quoting, yeah?
Yeah, he was just like, I want you to be my wife. At that time, I didn't see it. And I was with someone at the time. So it didn't make sense for me. And I was like, this guy is so upfront. Why would he just show up in my life and say, I want you to be my wife?
That's what Omolo Kijana did with Yvonne in London.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so after a while, we continued being friends, and we actually met in church. So we were always meeting on Sundays, and, we would have conversations. And at that time, I was working in the field of human rights. And so there were some things we needed in marketing and branding.
Yes,
and so I reached out to him, and we started engaging a bit more.
Yes.
And so a time came, and I realized, okay, the relationship, something
cooking somewhere.
Something is cooking somewhere, and it felt like where I was
And
not very happy.
It wasn't like it was bad food.
No, it wasn't. It was. And so I had been through some trauma.
Yes.
And because of that, I was always afraid, and I wasn't so sure that I can trust a man again at that time.
Yes.
And so one of the things that I wanted clear was, are you serious about this thing? I know you said you want to marry me. I know you said you want to be my wife, and I need to know that you are serious with this conversation. And at that point, he said, yes, I'm serious. And when he said, I am serious, then I said, okay, fine. Then let me position myself in that line. And so we started making arrangements to get married. We got married in 2016.
2 years after meeting.
Yeah, 2 years after meeting, we got married in 2016. And here we are, 2 children later.
2 children later?
Yeah.
You must add beautiful children.
Yeah, 2 children, a boy and a girl.
Yes.
The boy is 5, the girl is 1.5.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so here we are doing life. That's how we met.
Yes.
Like I said, I had been through some trauma.
Yes.
One of the things, first of all, is during the post-election violence, I was in one of the hotbeds in Kenya. I was in Eldoret at the time. And so I got raped during that season.
Yes.
And then the boyfriend, I was with my then boyfriend at the time.
Yes.
And so after that, I really had a hard time connecting. And on top of that, I felt like what I wanted out of life was not gonna come. Like, it just felt like it wasn't gonna...
Like the end of the world.
It's the end of the world. It's not gonna transpire. I kind of lost hope in a way. And so even by the time he was coming in and saying, hey, I want to marry you, I didn't trust him.
You didn't trust?
I didn't trust that, because at that time, the relationship I was in, I was also in that relationship hoping to get married.
Yes.
But then it also didn't transpire.
Yes.
There was always excuse after excuse after excuse.
Was it related to the experiences of the...
No, it wasn't. There was a whole different scenario. Yes. And it's like now after the rape, it's like it like it made me feel like there's no one else that would ever want someone like me, kind of. And so to imagine that the person I'm with right now is not even willing to formalize this thing, then a stranger comes in and says, hey,
they just want to marry you.
I want to marry you. And I'm like,
why didn't you blow them with what should scare them?
Yeah.
Did you tell him your past?
I did. I told him my past.
Still that it didn't deter
It did
him?
not change his mind. In fact, for this, the funniest thing is every time I tell that story to people who are around me, I always check their reaction. It's always like, oh, Pole, and then, you know. But for him, I was actually expecting so many questions, given that you've said you want to marry me.
No.
But instead, the moment I finished that story, he actually just hugged me. And I was like, okay. He never asked me anything. He never said anything. He just hugged me. And in that hug, I felt a lot of comfort. I felt understood. I felt heard for some reason. And then, so this made me feel like, okay, this is somebody I can trust. So maybe when he says he's going to marry me, he actually will. But one of the things I also came to realize, which I think is one of the things that we experience a lot when we counsel couples, is people come together, one hopes to get married, the other one has no intention of getting married, and then they stay together for a very long time in the hope that someone will change their mind, which for me puts one person in a limbo, and then the other one is living life okay, but then there are issues that are underlining that will always become a thorn in the flesh, in a way, in that relationship.
Did this ordeal of yours has it ever become an underlying issue that affects your relationship?
Interestingly, no. I think so I don't like taking medicine. Should I mention that? I don't like taking medicine. And so after I got raped, I understood that I had to take the PEP drugs. And so that became a whole traumatic experience for me, because now I had to take drugs that are big and many for a whole month. So I was always traumatized more about the drugs than the experience itself. So when I came to deal with because that was in 2017, I came to deal with the rape experience in 2009 when I actually went for counseling. I went to do psychology. And so when I went to do psychology, mandatory, you must go through counseling sessions. And so that was my point for counseling session. And I got to deal with a lot of the things that were affecting me at that time, whether I felt worthy, whether I felt loved, whether I felt, I hated men or anything of that kind. So I got to deal with all those things during that counseling session. And so for me, it just became one of those things that I talk about.
So it wasn't about you, it was about the reaction of people whenever they go to know you had gone through
Exactly. And I realized in that season that, when people go through traumatic experiences, it feels like that trauma becomes your life. And that's one of the things I didn't want to do.
Is counseling enough to get somebody over it?
There's counseling. Yeah, I will say there's God, because I can't understand how I got through it so fast. Some people still don't understand how I get to talk about it and don't.
Not all men who marry women really marry out of love, and if they have some love, sometimes it fades away. Would you say they continued the love coming from him without ever withering and fading? Could be helping you, and that if you flipped, you can say somebody in your situation. If they got a man maybe initially in love, but later would they find a lot of challenges?
For me, I honestly think love is more of a choice than necessarily a feeling.
Yes.
I get to choose to love him every day.
Yes.
It's a choice I make to love him. And I think the butterflies end.
The butterflies
The butterfly feelings end. I don't wake up every day and look at him and feel, oh my God, look at him. It doesn't happen like that every day. You get. But there are days I'll wake up and sometimes, you
experience a few butterflies.
You experience a few butterflies. You're like, like I was telling him when we were seated here, I was like, yesterday I realized you're my friend. And I'm like, this guy is my friend.
Yes.
This person is my friend. And I'm like, boy, you're my friend.
Yes.
You are my friend.
Yes.
And moments like that come. And that realization, you're like, wow, this is amazing. I'm with my friend. But then expecting to have butterflies every day
Is expecting too much.
is expecting too much. It's expecting too much
Now,
because you'll
gentlemen,
have
now.
challenges.
Yeah, I think that's
Say something.
where I come in.
Yes.
Just to, of course, about the story I've
Yeah.
met.
Yeah.
It's always good from the lady.
Yes.
It's always an amazing story from the lady. But what I can just add is the place of preparation for me was key. Of course, I had a past, and as from any other young person who is trying to find out about life, about, you know, being a man, what society portrays, and, you know, there was all that. But then now in the place of just getting prepared to a point where I would meet someone and I'm telling her, okay, I feel like this is the person I want to marry.
Yes, yes.
And approaching the person and telling them, you know what, I actually told her, I am ready for this. And I will be honest with you, I don't want a girlfriend. I don't want us to just try things around. I've had girlfriends before, but I want to settle.
I want a wife.
I want to settle. I want a wife. And I think even at that time, it didn't, maybe the whole meaning of this thing had not even grasped, I had not grasped it perfectly well. But my intentions and my thinking was set for it. And I feel like that preparation is so important for people, because it sort of made me make her see the importance of that.
Yeah.
Because I told her, if you feel like you still need some time to find yourself, it's okay.
Yeah.
When you're ready, you'll find me here. But I hope it will not take long.
Yeah.
So I remember those are the words I told her. And after that, I think I did something to her mind that made her start thinking about herself, her life. And so the moments when we continued being friends, and of course she told me about the person, and I was very respectful. I told her it's okay if there's someone. I was also somewhere with other people, but the intentions are different now. If the person is not seeing that, of course these were not things I was telling her, but in my mind I was like, if the person is not seeing a wife in you, I'm seeing it, and I'm ready to take it. I'm seeing the gold. And I think later on, of course, with the story that she just shared, so she was trying to give me reasons and, you know, feelings of why she maybe feels like trying to get where I was.
That ordeal of hers.
Yeah, the whole ordeal.
It never.
I know it's a big deal.
Did you?
And I think.
Did you feel like going back a bit?
No. So what happened is.
Was it her beauty or what? Why are you so struck like this?
I think a prepared heart is one of the strongest things that anyone would want to have when you're approaching anything, or when you're facing anything. For me to face any giant or any Goliath, if I am prepared at heart,
Yes.
it is so easy to beat anything if I've already beaten that thing within my heart, my mind. So that preparation for me, which I can't even, I think it's just God, because I just felt like, you know, I have done with my past of finding myself. I thought that I had very interesting stories, of course, from, you know, every other boy who tries and find out what is it about a woman, finding out yourself, you know, going out with different people, but now getting the place of now settling is a bit different. The trauma experience, so she started explaining certain things about her past.
Yes.
And when she explained that particular ordeal, of course it got me thinking and feeling. I actually felt, because I've had stories about rape before, but I think looking at my past, looking at also me growing up, I just felt like this is something that probably would have happened to me or a sister. You know, there have been cases where such things happen. So, and also growing up, these were not strange things that they're not new things to my ears. But then for me, in fact, I think I remember telling her, for me, this already is gold, because I'm like, there's something I know about you that I need to help you see beyond it, if at all it's still an image that flips around your face at any point when you wake up. And for me, it was just a door to begin to pull out every gold within this woman, to bring it up. And
It must be a gold, a man.
Yeah, the moment she told me that, I think the day she told me that is when now I even started wanting a much deeper connection with her. I was like, okay, this is an interesting what do we call it? An interesting obstacle to overcome and begin to see a brighter future before it.
Just. How if she hadn't told you, and 2-3 years into the marriage you learned?
2-3 years into the marriage without
Wow.
such an information. So I think I would pick it from, if at all because of course that one she told me. So if there was an issue or an event that is
Like men, you know,
that,
you
yes,
marry somebody, then a few years down the
Exactly.
line, you discover they have a child they never told you.
yes. So some of my biggest concerns are things that I used to bring, and I think she can attest to that. I used to bring on the table initial, like those were the first things I would ask. I really wanted to know. Honesty was a key thing for me, because I think I told her everything, every Tom, Dick and Harry. I tried to, how my life has been, everything.
You reveal yourself.
I used to have X, Y, Z number of people. I had to bring it.
Do you think it's important?
It was important, and it is important for any person.
Would you advise people who are courting
I
and
would champion that for sure.
that they should
Exactly.
reveal who they are to their partners?
Because you want to stay with someone, you want to partner with someone for life.
Yes.
And such things coming up in marriage, there will be things that will be cutting deep.
But there are people
If
who
at all they
believe
come.
that woman loves you so much. She really needs you. But she fears, if this guy knows I have a child, this could mess. And this man, I want him bad.
So that's the problem.
Supposing
Yeah.
they did that and you get married and then you learn and later.
Exactly. That
would be bad, eh?
Definitely.
It's not a good thing.
Ruin
Ruin
everything.
it, yeah.
It can ruin things. Eh?
True.
So you recommend that
Exactly.
you
Say the
advise
truth
people
from
to
him.
come clean.
Yeah.
Just come out clean. Let it be known that if this is the person I want to work with, she need to know every secret that even my mother doesn't.
Doesn't know. Yeah.
Even my every
But I'm telling you, at the risk, there's the risk you lose them.
So the risk is you lose them before getting into a partnership.
It's
with
better.
someone for
Yeah.
life. It's better.
Yeah.
It's
So
better
much
to lose a battle before starting it.
Yeah.
You enter a ring knowing that, okay, I'm ready for this war.
Let her know that part of you.
Exactly.
If she feels she can't live with it,
Yeah.
then you better not start.
It is safe.
I think it's interestingly, even you're talking about like a child, because I had by the time I was meeting him, I had been told by doctors that I can't be able to have a child.
Oh,
And so that is something I had to tell him from the get-go.
that we may not have
That,
children.
by the way, I need you to know I have this history, and I have been told by doctors that I will not be able to have a child. So I had fibroids, and they were very, very big in my womb. And I was told my womb cannot be able to carry a child. And the fibroids were so big, they could not be removed.
Okay.
So what was supposed to happen was then I was supposed to go and have surgery and remove my whole uterus. So that meant basically, either way, I would not have a child. And that's something I needed to tell him up front. Because the other thing is, when we don't say the truth from the get-go, it feels like you're trapping somebody.
Yeah.
And someone will feel trapped when they get into a marriage and realize there
Now
was
stop.
information.
This looks like fiction. You have brought fiction here. This is fiction.
It's very true.
This is fiction.
Because this is what happens.
This guy, now you have brought fiction here. The viewer is wondering, this must be fiction.
This guy.
You must have trained for a month to bring this fiction. Find how beautiful this girl. How good was she?
I think
That with all those big mega issues, you are still willing to marry her. How many men would still wish to marry a woman? She's not going to give birth. She has a rape past. I mean, how?
So this is the interesting thing. By the time I was getting to meet my wife Vivian.
Yes.
I used to have a good taste. I used to have a good taste.
Yes.
And I think I've told her once, and I was telling her in, not really on a lighter note, but just for her to get my background of how I managed to pick up from every other person.
Yes.
You know, when you're hanging out or when you're having your good times as a young person and you're trying out different things in life or you're finding out yourself, in this journey of preparation for marriage, there are certain things that you look for a girlfriend, and I know our viewers know this. There are certain things you look at, and it's okay. It is so normal. There are certain things you look and you feel like, okay, I want someone who is this curvy, this and all. We all have those lists before getting into that stage.
Yes.
But I think the perspective changes when you want a wife, and it's amazing that we have an old. Not really traditions, but yeah, our parents would tell us, for you to get a woman, they would be tested. They would be taken somewhere, see if they know how to cook, find out if they were virgins, Like there were so many things that were connected to this. But I think the advantage for me also was growing up in a background where I experienced a good part of faith being expressed as well. I've had stories, I've had testimonies, I saw testimonies. I grew up at around an area where I think it was some of this, it was Pastor Day or someone, and we could see people's stories, someone getting, giving birth without wombs and stuff like that. So for me, certain things were not so much of a scare. That's why I was saying that. So it was an advantage.
Were you prepared to have a wife who couldn't give children? Is that what you're telling us?
Very interesting question. I think one is that, and I think even at that time, at that age, clearly we were very young couples, but at that age, there are certain things that would not have been so much of an issue to now. That I have a family and I know what it means and how it feels.
In other words, no, yes. My friend. Are you telling us the woman was so beautiful to you, so attractive, that you would have her despite anything and everything?
I think I would say...
Because there are three major issues. One, she has another man. You are finding her in a relationship.
That was not an issue.
No, it will be an issue to many people. Or you want to feel you are conquering.
No, that was not an issue.
Then she had the rape background. Many people were scared of it. Then here she is. She's telling you she's not going to have children.
She's no longer. She's not a doctor. She's not God. God gives children. So that for me, and it was an interesting time because she found me at a time when I was really working on my faith. And as I said, it was a transition for me. And that's why I felt like I was so much prepared. Spiritually, I was prepared as a person.
Do you think many people will go your way? Would many people go your way?
When it comes to matters of belief and faith, everyone has their own way.
Would you blame anybody if they ran away from such a woman?
From such a woman?
Yeah.
I would, to some extent.
How?
Because it feels like, what is the essence of marriage first? Okay. If at all I'm getting into a partnership with someone,
yes,
it's because we have different perspectives or viewpoints about why we're getting married. Are we getting married because we want children? Because if that's the case, I can get married to 1, 2, 3. This one doesn't get children, leave you. This one can give me 2. And now I want a boy. And we can go all through all that issues if that's the only thing that I look into marriage. Marriage is an institution. And it comes with a combination of so much. There's so much that
the absence of one shouldn't actually...
Sorry?
So the absence of one of the things in the package.
So for me, the issues were not marriage. Were not what was making me to be
married. Let me ask the lady.
Yes.
Well, we're juju,
Interestingly, no. He found me at a time, actually, I had extremely low self-esteem. I did not value myself. In fact, when he started speaking some things into my life is when I started to realize, actually, I am somebody who should be valued. Given that past, given that history, I really viewed myself extremely low. And there are moments I would actually feel like I can't even go to some places because I'm not worthy, And he made me feel like, imagine you are worthy. He opened my eyes to realize there's more to me than the things that have happened to me in my life.
So were you surprised that a man was able to continue crashing and falling and loving and wanting you badly, despite all these things? Were you at some point surprised?
Yeah, I was.
Listen.
I was.
Listen. You could begin doubting, maybe this guy also has a problem. A guy would want me with all this.
Exactly. In fact, there was a time I actually told him, listen, can you seriously just stop pursuing me? There are people, I can actually give you better people than me. I know. I was even willing to offer my relatives.
Because you saw how serious he was.
Because I saw how serious he was, and I was like, this guy is serious. Like, he really, really wants to marry. And he's not joking. Like, there's nothing that's pushing him away.
Yes.
There are times I would even offer people, I'd be like, have you seen so-and-so? What do you think? And he would be like, I don't want them. It's you I want, And for me, that persistence and that making me realize there's more to me than rape. There's more to me than whether I give birth or not. There was more that I could offer.
How does this help you when you say you're a counselor?
Honestly speaking, I have come more to understand what identity is and who people are. We go through trauma, and trauma almost attaches itself to us, and it gives us an identity that we are not. Because of my experiences, I became a very timid girl who had low self-esteem. But you see, I can choose to say that is who I am, but it's not.
You can walk out of it.
I have the choice to say these things did happen to me, but I refuse.
They don't define me now.
To define, yes, I refuse for them to define me, and I refuse for their effects to
Do you
claim
meet people
me.
like those in the course of your work?
Yes, I meet quite a lot of people.
How difficult and how successful is it in making them realize that when something happens to you, you don't become what that thing wants you to become?
It's honestly a journey, because most of the time we get to a place, people who've gone through trauma, we get to a place where we partner with some of these things, and it becomes part of who we are. We feel like, well, it's who I am, I have no choice. And once we get the victim mentality, we don't have the power to get out of it.
What do you tell people? Either in the course of your work or even like on this show?
Yeah. What I honestly can tell people who have been through trauma is, one, you have to recognize that what you are experiencing is actual trauma. Because society can sometimes tell you, that is life, deal with it. But then what society then does is reinforces the trauma on someone. What we need to do is make the people acknowledge, one, I have been through a traumatic experience. I have gone through something. Two, you have to realize that you have the choice to walk out of it or to stay there and let it affect you. And the only way you can actually get the power back is to find out who you are as a person, not
beyond what that thing tries to impose
beyond
on you.
what that thing tries to impose on you, beyond what life has done to you.
Beyond what people may even want to.
Exactly. Beyond what people might want to label you, beyond what people might want to say about you. Go back inward and ask yourself, who are you? So the background, that's why sometimes I say, not sometimes, all the time I say, for me, God is key. Because if God is our creator, the creator of a thing will only know the function of the thing. The guy who created the Mercedes-Benz probably knows how that Mercedes-Benz works better than any of us. But then for us to be able to understand how best it works, we have to go back to that creator. And for me, it goes back to, so God, why am I here? Who am I? Who did you make me to be? And there are things that he keeps saying that he found the gold in me. There are things that God has put inside us as human beings. And those are, we call them treasures. They are treasures that God has put inside us. And once we start opening our eyes to the treasures that we have within,
then we begin to know who you really are.
To know who you are.
Beyond what
society says.
Okay.
Yeah. You realize, oh my God, I actually love talking to people. Naturally, I love talking to people. And that's a goal in itself. Then you ask yourself, why is this a thing? Why do I love talking to people? How can I make people benefit from my talking? Apart from just making noise, what can I give people? If you're someone who loves cooking, like, this is a skill, this is an art, this is a gold within me. What can I use this that is within me? How can I make it a blessing to those who are around me?
Let me ask you.
Yeah.
Since you're a pastor and a counselor, if I were to ask you, for the interest of the viewers, to give me the ABC of work of dealing with such experiences, rape and what have you, all these bad things. You have somebody that's come to you, is a member of your church, and an old woman has brought their daughter who has gone through a rape. A man's wife has been raped, or a woman's husband has been raped, because these things are now happening. In a minute, the ABC, 1, 2, 3, beyond faith, because you have said, many of these things must be anchored on faith. They believe in God. You are a creation of God, and He's bigger than the space being defined for you by society, by experiences, traumatic or otherwise. Other than that, faith. What are the practical solutions you can say A, B, C. I want to walk you through these, or I advise somebody to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Very briefly.
Very briefly, let me try.
Because you wouldn't have the time to explain them.
Yeah.
Try to be very brief is one, just separate the person from the matter.
Separate the person.
Separate the person from the issue.
So you have been raped.
Yes.
You don't become
You're not
what this rep is trying to make you be.
exactly.
They are two different people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because
There's a
once-
human being called
Yes.
Jen.
And there's an act that
something happened called rep to her.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How does somebody separate the two?
How to separate the two is to call out the person,
In you.
bring out the person.
Jen, come out.
Yeah.
You make it sound very easy.
Exactly. Like, what is your history? Who are you? Who are you? When someone asks you, who are you? You'll tell me everything that you are
Yes.
without telling me. You can even tell me that if you're still partnering with it. So you'll tell me everything you are, and I'll get everything that you are, and I'll separate this matter. I'll separate not just that matter. I can separate another one that maybe you said at some point, you know, I robbed some so and so. I took money from someone. So I'll separate these things, and then I go back to now. This is who you are. So you told me you're this, but then these are things that happen within your life. If today I'm to wake up to prepare to go somewhere, I will not just wake up naked.
Yes.
I put on clothes,
Yes.
put on a watch.
Yes.
These are not things that will define me.
Yes.
They are just certain things that just bring
Adornments
wholesome on
that are
me.
just there.
Exactly. So that is it. So I would want you to first see yourself, then clothe yourself.
Just stop there. Is it like you are this beautiful girl, past class 8, they call it KCP. People have carried you shoulder high because you did well. Got Form 4, you got an A, wonderful girl. You are headed to School of Medicine. You have always wanted to be a neurosurgeon. Just to put it simply in terms of examples. And then something happens like rape. Are you trying to say that although this is going to be very impactful in your life, it will affect you? It shouldn't remove that girl, that beautiful girl in you, who was headed to becoming a serious neurosurgeon.
Yes.
That we are saying.
Exactly.
Oh.
And it's like missing a turn. If you're going a particular direction and you miss a turn,
You can see
you can go back to the turn.
now, so that we answer the question quickly. That missing the turn and that you continue with your studies to become a doctor. It's not something you can just say, okay, I was raped, but
Yeah, let me
I want to continue. I know I'm going to be a doctor. So I want to find out what are some of the practical things that this lady will need to do,
Of course,
so that she's not defined by that rape.
Bring the people in the community to understand how to bring this person out. She has gone through such an experience. Build a community that will bring up and not push down.
Explain that. What do you mean by
So
community?
what I mean by community is get people to begin appreciating the lady.
A support.
So there's a
support
third
system.
party doing it. So that girl, we should look for a third party, or the family or somebody else should look.
Of course, the family should be, in fact,
Help
the
her
first
fight
one having
this.
there. If at all it's a student living in their house,
Yeah.
if it's someone who was single somewhere, who are your friends? If you don't have friends, if the society doesn't present to you the people that are supposed to be there, find a church or find, and of course that for me would be the first, being a pastor, that would be the first ground that I can push someone. But of course, that's not the only part. There are certain groups
So
and
now, look, are you saying now the victim, now the rape victim, will take the initiative to look for help by way of reaching out to that community, with the church, the parents, the siblings, friends? Is that what you're saying? Because that would be
what
very
I'm trying to
difficult.
say is just
Many
the-
people
the
will be trying
society
to
to
hide,
create-
run away,
yes.
and they don't even want to share.
Exactly.
The
And you
less
see-
people know you are raped, the better.
Yeah. So
Yes.
and that's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
It is with the first few people, and certain thing can happen, and someone decides not to share.
Yeah.
It will be so hard for us to go. There are things that we can't find out.
So what
There
you're
are no
saying
way
in
to
short,
find
the
out.
few,
Yes.
those, let's just say those, whether they are few or many, who
Yes,
know that
those are the ones
this
that we're
girl,
giving ABC
this promising,
courses.
beautiful girl that
Yes.
is going to be a serious doctor, neurosurgeon, has been raped. This can crush her.
Yes.
We need to do something about it.
Exactly.
and then
starts
they
with the
take
first
the
person.
initiative to make her feel these things
Loved.
can happen.
Yes.
Our love for you has
not changed.
Has not changed.
Yeah.
Your future has not been compromised. It is difficult, but that's what you're saying.
Exactly.
And then you, on and on, you look like for counseling, church,
Yes.
For any other.
until she gets to a point where she can join that, be part of the initiative of looking for solutions.
Exactly.
Is that what you went through?
Yeah, honestly, I got a very strong support system.
Yes.
I had my mom with me, I had my friends with me, and they really stood by me.
Yes.
They kept bringing me resources, actually. At that time, I wasn't very willing to talk about it at the time, but they were bringing me resources all the time, and they'll be like, hey, there's this community, they're talking about these experiences, would you like to be part of it? And they understood where I was, but I also knew they're trying their level best to help in any way they could.
Just before I forget, you know, there's something you can't hide, which is old age. It's one of the things you keep forgetting. People who are alcoholic, there's Alcoholic Anonymous, it's something like that.
Yes.
Do we have societies where people can join groups?
Yes.
Who have groups of people who have gone through these experiences?
Yeah. We have very many support groups. Very many. In fact, right now, like you're saying, the generations have changed. Right now, there's so much information online.
Yes.
There's so much information online in terms of any support in any place you would want. The first place, like for example in Nairobi, I would think about randomly is the Gender-Based Violence Institute, which I know deals with gender-based violence. It deals with rape people. It deals with people even in marriage who've been, been abused in marriages and stuff like that. And so these places are available. And once you plug into that community, because they see so many people, and in as every story is different, but it feels like the experience is almost the same. But so they are able to even tell you, okay, we understand that you went through this. I know the best person that can support you in this.
They can direct you.
To the next person.
Let me also ask again, before I forget, since you are counselors, have you come across experiences where these things happen to a married couple, and the reaction is such that if a wife has been raped, the husband is completely almost like not wanting to have anything to do with the wife, or offering very little support? Have you come across those kind of experiences?
Personally, I have not, but I have heard of stories where, for example, there were, people were in a house and then thieves came in and then they raped the lady in the house, and all of a sudden the man just shuts off. Such things can take a woman to the deepest pits, for lack of a better word, because they are already, they didn't cause it to happen to themselves.
Yes.
But then they are already judging themselves. They have already put that judgment on themselves. They are already seeing themselves unworthy. And so when the person they love or the person they feel like is
the closest
to them, the moment they pull away, it affirms everything for them. So it's true, I am worthless. So it's true, I cannot be saved. And sometimes it becomes very difficult for such a person to rise above that.
What would be the role of the husband? Unfortunately, most of these things happen to women. It does happen to men, we know. But it's more to women than to men.
Yeah.
What role do you think a man should play in instances, unfortunate cases where, say, the wife is raped?
Wow.
How important is that?
Let me try and support on that. I think when it comes to rape in marriage, the act has happened, if at all it's on a woman. It has happened on a woman, but there's a damage on a man.
On a man, yep.
The damage is on the man.
Yes. The physical act, it's like spiritual and physical. The physical pain
on the woman.
Has gone on the woman, but it has
the
heart
is on the man.
And the heart is on the man. And that's so difficult, because getting a man to speak might be very difficult. He might be there with the pain. You don't know what he's thinking. Does he want to leave the person or so? In such a scenario, I think the same procedures that we had talked about, because when rape happens outside, like her situation, the people were away. The people went Like those were not people that we were not responsible to even try and help in
Yes.
society. No, it was someone who did something and intentionally and they left.
Yes.
So the one that we had to think about and help is the one that was the victim now.
Yes.
In a marriage,
There are two
we have to
victims
focus
now.
on
The
two
two.
victims.
Yeah.
It's not one victim.
Yeah.
And I think that's always the problem, because
Yeah.
we take one person and we deal with the issues, take them to hospital, figure out what counseling, and then leaving the man is leaving more damage.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's already a problem. So in such a situation in marriage, you have to get the same weight that you're dealing with the physical situation
To
through everything that she's talked
injured
about,
the man.
and also to the man.
Yeah.
Get the attention to both these two people. They are damaged.
Yeah.
What do you think is the likely consequence of not realizing the man needs as much help as the woman, perhaps even more? What are the dangers? If you leave the man alone, you deal with the woman, do counseling, blah blah blah, get her to accept.
Of course, the dangers are some of the things that we would see. Either the man might decide to, depending with how much they are connected, decide to take their lives. Some would go out and start having different women because they feel like this
now is
one is corrupt. Yes.
It's corrupted woman
Yes.
now.
Then some of them might feel like I wouldn't now want, because again, and this is why I married her. It was not just about one thing. It was about so many things. I if someone is raped, doesn't mean that they can't have a child. If someone has fibroids, doesn't mean that they can't have children. You get that might be her mindset. Like my mindset.
I met a man whose wife was raped, and he told me it's long since we met, but I hope things went well. By the way, after this, I'm going to find if I can get his number and call him because he's still alive. And actually got the story from the wife. But the guy was closer to me than the wife. But the wife now told me quite some time back. But I'm going to call them today. That she complained, the wife, after the rape, the husband had never really related with her sexually. And when I got talking to the man, he says, even if he tries, he can't. It's just like he cannot. What would you as counselors say, pronounce yourself on such a situation?
Let us talk about the counseling part.
Yes, let's hear from you.
Yeah, but just about the damage, and not saying, for instance, you were closer to the person. It's just how society has painted the man.
Yes.
I am strong, and then even when we want or we don't want, we find ourselves not wanting to share certain information. How will the other men think about
a man is supposed to be strong,
and also the kind of influence that we'll get from different people.
Yes,
some communities will tell you, you can't just get another one. In fact, the parents can bring you another woman. Things like that. So those are some of the reasons why sometimes man has been silenced to say these things. And I think one of the things we're also doing in church, we're trying to groom people where we have sessions for men where we talk about matters, even things like this. So
stop thinking you are iron.
Yes.
You're just flesh and feelings.
And it's good when we know, because that's why mostly women will get help, because they talk. So when we get forums where men can just have communicate, you find out that there have been so many things that have been happening.
They're being bottled up. So now to you, how do you help such a people? A man who finds it difficult now after that to relate with the wife.
First of all, there has to be the acknowledgement that, like he's saying, there was a damage to him that was done. In as much as it happened to the wife, there's something that happened to him. This is somebody he loves. This is somebody he was doing life with. And so there's something that has happened to him when he sees that act happen on the wife. And so he has to get to a place where he has to acknowledge it's not necessarily him, but there is something that happened on that day. There is something either that was taken from him. There is something that was done to his mind on that day. And realizing exactly what that is, because again, one act can mean different experiences for different people.
Correct.
And so I feel like he needs to find out exactly what happened to him on that day. Because it could be that he felt someone has come and devalued my wife. And because my wife has been devalued, I no longer see that value. And so then how do we deal with that exactly?
To return the value.
To return the value. How do we do that? Because it is in his mind.
Correct.
We have to figure out exactly what that experience did to him. And then once we
Is that how do you
identify
figure out through sessions with him?
through sessions with him, you have to have a couple of counseling sessions to figure out exactly what is the main issue. What exactly has caused him to be
as
this
for the
detached.
woman, so to the man,
Yeah.
that they must also go through
Yeah,
that
They
kind of
must
stuff.
go through that.
Find out.
Yeah, they have
Get
to go
help.
through. Yeah,
First of all, recognize they need that help.
yes, they need that help. Yeah.
So, in conclusion, we can say that the process through which the process we take the woman through, or the woman should go through in seeking help, should be more or less the same process the man should go through,
Yeah.
because they also need help.
Yeah.
It's been very interesting. Time does not allow us to continue this wonderful discussion, which I hope really, from where I'm sitting, well, first of all, I've learned. If you want to know a discussion is good, even you from this seat, you learn something.
Wow.
So just the final thoughts you share with the viewers.
All right. I think for me, I'll say that marriage is a very beautiful institution.
Correct.
It is made up of people.
Yes.
And as people, we need to work on ourselves and work on each other
Yes.
for it to make it a beautiful thing.
Yes.
Marriage is beautiful. It's the people. If there's any place that you feel like you need to heal, be deliberate about seeking help, because
Yes.
not everybody can know what's happening in your mind.
Yes.
Be deliberate about asking for help.
Yes.
Asking for help is not a sign of weakness.
Okay.
It's not a sign of weakness. Ask for help where you need help. Ask for support where you need support.
And if you see somebody needing help,
And
I give them.
Yes, if you see somebody needs help, please
Even if
offer
they
the
think
hand.
they don't need.
Even if they think they don't have, help them with honor and respect. Help them realize that you actually need help. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, if I was to marry again, I would definitely pick her.
Oh.
And stories are different about marriage.
But she has changed a bit, man.
Right now, I would in fact be very quick. I would give her time to think about it.
Yes. No, the attraction is going down, man. How many years down the line? These are like 8 years.
You know, we keep hearing that as it grows old, as wine is being kept, you
Yeah.
get the juice.
Uh-huh.
It's sad that this generation always
How has the
portrays
family been?
different. So
You
our
vo-
family has been amazing. Our kids are good. It's amazing growing. Doing something that you've never done before. I think
Yes.
that's the most interesting
Bring up
thing
children
about it.
and-
You've never had an experience about it, and just doing it and seeing it happening, unfolding nicely.
Yeah.
And
It's
that
a
in
journey
summary,
worth taking.
and therefore in summary,
Yes,
when two people are in love,
yes,
many of the things that look difficult, like meeting
yeah.
a lady who has been raped before, or the threats of a woman never having children,
Yeah.
love is able to help you
love wins.
navigate around these things,
Yeah.
handle them,
Yes,
manage them,
Yeah.
even if they are difficult.
Yeah.
yes.
There you have it. Thank you very much. The viewer, you had it from this young couple. And you can see, we don't even need to add anything to that. That where there is love, almost everything is possible. That if you are meeting a woman who has gone through some ideal, if it was just fluctuation, if it was just lust, you are unlikely to take her. And even if you took her, you are unlikely to take her for a wife. So once again, subscribe to this channel, because with your support, we will give support to those who view us, to those who listen to our guests, such as the guest we have had today, and the support they get from listening to people who have gone through experiences. It's very interesting today. We know that basically this looks like fiction. It looks like fiction. The idea that where two people love each other, nothing is strong enough to separate them.
Yeah.
Nothing can stand in the way of this gentleman whose life sounds like fiction. So thank you very much for coming. And the viewer, thank you very much for being with us. Share this. Talk about it to friends. Those who have not subscribed, please do subscribe.
Let's get together and feel alright. Hear the children crying. Hear the children crying. Say